Make this show all about all the nefarious and horrible things that are happening. Although I could easily cram it into many, many hours of this show. But I don't really want to do that because there are enough shows out there like that. And I think, although that's wonderful, because we do need to become aware of what's happening around the world, I think I personally haven't heard enough shows myself of people who are trying to uplift people and give them the spiritual tools to move past all this physical nefariousness. And I have heard some, so don't get me wrong, I've definitely heard some. But anyway, she was on the show and she was talking about chemtrails, that she actually got a group together of people who would stand outside under chemtrails, and we have a couple today here in St. Thomas. She would stand outside with her group of friends or whatever, and they would bless the chemtrails. They would stare at the chemtrails and basically do a little bit of the Ho'oponopono method, although she'd never said that in her interview. She was just saying that they blessed the chemtrails. So they would do the, I love you kind of feeling, like sending love and sending light and sending kindness toward the chemtrails. And she said that they would see the chemtrails evaporate before their very eyes. Now, this is very important because if we could all do this, we will get rid of the issues that we have on our planet. It's all about vibration. It's all about intent. It's all about energy. And I think those are the most important things that we have going for us. And we forget that we are these incredible, powerful beings who are spirit beings having a human experience. So we can cure everything based on our spirituality, based on our souls, based on our energy and our intent. It's like the law of attraction, which we'll get into, is, what you think you create, what you think manifests. But I tried this myself a couple of times with chemtrails. And though I did see a physical difference in the chemtrails after doing a bit of the Ho'oponopono method, what I saw was more of a change in myself. And I think that's a little bit more important because, again, my changes within myself towards greater happiness, greater harmony is going to reverberate out, and it's going to affect everyone around me. And it's like what we talked about in the last show, when you smile at a stranger, and how far does that smile carry on and on and on? Is there someone in Taipei that's receiving what at one time began with me smiling at somebody else? And that's the reverberations that I'm talking about. That's the energy and the positive radiation that I'm talking about. So I tried this myself, and while I did see a slight change within the actual physical makeup of the chemtrail itself, what I saw as more important was what was happening within me. Because for years, ever since learning about chemtrails, for years I would get angry. I would stare at the sky and I would see, planes laying out their aluminum and barium and God knows what else chemicals to depopulate us. And I would see this happening. And I would curse it and say, that effing blah, blah, blah. I can't believe those bastards are doing this again and blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, another chemtrail. Oh, great. So I would get really, really angry to the point of my blood would boil for a minute. And you know that feeling, when you just get so carried away and you live right in that anger and you just seem on fire inside, and not the good kind of on fire, just like you're being eaten alive by your own fire. Don't mind that thump. That was just my cat, Josie, jumping from the window to the top of the desk. And now she's going to jump back to the window. But anyway, she likes this conversation, I think, because all of a sudden she's going crazy. But anyway, so I really saw a change within myself, because instead of getting angry at seeing the chemtrails in the sky, I stared at the sky and I was saying to them, I love you. I love you. I bless you. I give you nothing but love. And I would see a slight change in the way the chemtrail looked. But what felt amazing to me was that I wasn't angry, and anger can only get us so far as I'm concerned. I think anger can help you. It can be an incredible tool, just like sadness can be an incredible tool to help you look within. For example, if you're depressed, maybe you'll look within. But at a certain point, Anger is going to eat you alive, and if we can dispel some of our unnecessary, the rage anger, I think that's what it all comes down to when it comes to that. The anger is a really great tool. And then at a certain point, it just gets to be too much. And then before you know it, you're, everything's F this, F that, everything. And while I have no problems with quote unquote swear words, I'm a complete and total truck driver when it comes to that, just not so much on this show. While you were like that and you were cursing everything and you were down on everything and you were, the world really changes when you bless things instead of curse things. I've never been a person who believed in hexes and curses, and I don't think I ever will be. But our words do carry a lot of intention and a lot of power. So if you just as an example, we're going on a tangent, but this is tied in. As an example, I don't use the phrase, even though I'm going to say it here, I don't use the phrase, God damn it, because I find that is so... If words are power, I don't want God to damn all the things in my life. At least of all, we tend to say that phrase when something isn't going right, So why damn it even more than what it already is if it isn't going right already, you know what I'm saying? So I've been trying to, because that's been programmed in my head to say that. And now I'm trying to program myself into saying, God bless it. So every time, my computer's acting stupid or people around me are acting stupid, God bless it. Even if I'm angry, if I say, God bless it in my anger, I think that's going to do a whole lot more good than damning the thing that's already giving me problems. You see what I'm saying? So the Ho'oponopono method, or, AKA the method by which I learned that everything is my creation and my responsibility. I love this method and I cannot recommend it enough to anybody. But let's move on to something that's very much tied in with that and very much close to my heart, the law of attraction. Now, probably many of you have seen The Secret or read The Secret or any book or documentary that is along those lines. And I will always recommend that to people. Although I do have, I have a slight problem with some of it, and I'll just quickly say that, I find it focuses way too much on think this way and get a new car, think this way and get a new house, and it's all very superficial and it's all very, very surface stuff, the stuff that when you die, you can't take it with you, and I find that it would have been great in the documentary or in the book if they had mentioned a lot more about delving into happiness. And there was one woman whose her whole name escapes me. She was a Black woman named Lisa. So if you watch the film, she was in that. She must have been in the book too, because I believe they featured the same people in the movie that they did in the book. And she talks a lot about joy, happiness, life, and she talks quite a bit about that. So her stuff really resonated with me because it wasn't just about think this way and get a new boat, It wasn't just the surface stuff that you can't take with you, It was this incredible stuff that really, 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 really matters, because if you're really messed up in your life, it's not a shopping trip that's going to change your life. And it's not even a person bringing something to you like a car that's going to change your life. It's going to be something within that needs to change. And this is why this is tied so much in with the Ho'oponopono method. And we'll have to cover a lot more of the law of attraction in the future, because this is a huge subject. And I would love to hear all of your experiences too with the law of attraction or the Ho'oponopono method if you have practiced this yet, or after the show, if you practice either of those things. That would be incredible. I would love to hear what it is you've come up with or how you felt afterwards, because I know in my own life, using the law of attraction or the Ho'oponopono method, I feel so complete afterwards. I think we go through life and sometimes we feel like a jigsaw puzzle, and some days all the pieces are fitting, and some days it kind of seems like you're trying to wedge pieces in where they don't fit. And you can take that any way you want. Those people, those puzzle pieces you're trying to wedge in that don't fit could be people, could be situations, could be personal problems within the self. It could be absolutely anything. And just whatever resonates with you, obviously. So, the law of attraction, let me tell you a very interesting, because I really got into the law of attraction in 2007. So 4 years ago. For those who aren't great with math, because that was pretty simple. But I first got into it in 2007 because I had a friend. See, my life is incredibly synchronous. And I bet that many of you listening are going to say that your lives are incredibly synchronous too, that you think about, some new idea. And then all of a sudden within a day, you have a friend saying, you should read this book because, I think you would really love it. And then you get into it and you realize, oh my God, that's exactly the idea that I was thinking of yesterday. And this constantly happens to me. Or, people may write them off as coincidences, and I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that things are synchronous in order to remind us that we're on the right track, or, this is something that you need in your journey, as for example, with like the book thing I just talked about, when you think about an idea and someone gives you a book. So in 2007, that's when I really began my foray into the law of attraction. Although when I look back on my life, I definitely have been using it for a long time, because before The Secret, I was definitely into Shakti Gawain, who I think I mentioned in the last, yes, I did. I mentioned in the last show. And Shakti Gawain is amazing. I got her book, Creative Visualization, when I was, I want to say in my teens. I want to say really young, like 15. So if it was when I was 15, I've been practicing this for 15 years and off and on, not every day. But, because her book focuses more on closing your eyes and getting in meditation and visualizing and being creative about your visualization about what you would like to see. Not any of those things you would not like to see, as, like a horrific thing happening to a family member, or something bad happening to you, or you losing a job, or something that you should not be thinking about, because if you keep thinking about it, you're just going to create it. But instead focusing on those things that you really, 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 really want. And I practiced this for a long time. And in fact, this is one of my favorite parts about meditation. I find meditation a little more boring even though I do love it, but I find it a little more boring when I'm not creating a scene in front of my eyes to, I guess, to keep me entertained, such as our technological age, isn't it? That we need to be entertained. But why not entertain yourself with things that you would love to see and you would love to experience and you would love to feel, instead of those things that are gory and bloody and horrific, right? So I really started getting into creative visualization and affirmations, because that was a big deal of what she was doing, talking about, okay, if you want more money in your life, one, you can't, well, she didn't say this, but I'll say what it was said in Conversations with God, which is another incredible book that I completely highly recommend, when God was saying that you will not get what you want, because by you simply saying, I want, you are creating more of that experience. You are putting that energy out there into the universe that you are, the universe gives you everything you want. So let's use an example. If you say, I want that house, the universe is going to say, your wish is my command. And it's going to make it so that you will continue to have the experience of wanting that house, which means, plainly, you're not going to get that house. You're not actually going to live in that house. You're going to spend so much of your time saying, I want that house. I want that house. It's going to continue being your experience because you're putting it out there. The way that Shakti and also The Secret and Conversations with God talks about the things that you want